No tubing. I made it on the recording. Welcome, wherever you are. This is Do It Live Autonomy Podcast. My name is Joshua Hale, the executive producer of Autonomy, and I am here with some fine autonomy students. We have Lee. Lee, how you doing?
Very well. Thanks for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to support all the awesomeness that's going on.
Glad to have you. Ludwig?
Surprisingly fine today. Thanks.
That's great. And Tyler, how are you today?
Doing it live.
Doing it live. Nice command station you got there. We got some other people on the walls as wallflowers, and we invite them to just join in and say hello. You can come on camera if you are feeling brave. And we got a lot to cover this week. We are in the thick of it. We just started week 6 in season 4 of Autonomy. Lots of cool things are happening. People are starting to bloom. They're starting to find a rhythm. They're reaching out and connecting with others, and they're digesting what is being taught here. I have something that's pretty cool that just happened. So in the beginning of this year, we had an offer from Savri Subri, who runs a marketing agency in Australia. And the pandemic just hit. It was chaos. Everybody was like buying toilet paper and ammo. And this offer came across Rich's table of a new course that Savri put together. And he made a 45-minute video of kind of a walkthrough of what was in that course. Rich tossed it to me. I watched it. I was drooling all over my keyboard. It was just incredible what he was packing in there, because Rich has had him on several times for interviews, and the dude is just a self-made, just badass, and started from his bedroom and now has this marketing empire that he's created. And he has collected these just most groundbreaking methods and strategies to help people with their marketing. And he wrote a book, but the book just couldn't encapsulate all that he had to offer. So he put this course together. Rich threw this course at me. I wanted it. Rich saw the value in it. We set up a call with his sales team, and it's a whole story of its own. But we ended up purchasing this course and not regretting it one bit. It was the largest purchase I've ever been a part of. Huge investment for Autonomy, but Savri just asked for a testimonial, and so I put together my best testimonial in order to describe the value that was in this course. And Savri's team grabbed that and made a promo video that I'm about to show you right here and now. That's from a production standpoint, it's really badass. They took an all right testimonial and made it look cool. This is our revenue that we've generated just in the last 3 months. This thing converts, man. We're about 4 months deep into this, and we've collected 2,800 leads. This is going up every day now. I mean, last time I looked, we just hit 2,000. What Savri was bringing was a full funnel that we'd be able to immediately start putting to work for us. The overall funnel is immense. He doesn't hold back punches. He's very raw and very blunt about why these things work. He's put millions and millions into testing these things. Boom, we started getting leads. Savri lays out these amazing email sequences. He does not leave any room for failure. You can see each of these emails is well over industry average, but then some of the later ones are just crazy, right? People just started lining up on our calendar and things got very busy. I'm going through the course for the 3rd time now, and it's still just a fire hose of information. Inside of the Quantum Growth course or community on Facebook, everyone is extremely helpful and just very knowledgeable in testing it out, getting beat up. You can get some like real raw feedback. I would definitely recommend Quantum Growth for anyone that's interested. It will dramatically improve any business that starts applying some of these techniques. And so this is the true engine of getting a system in place so that your foot is on the gas and you can control how many leads are coming in order to crank out as many sales as you can handle. Pretty sick. I did my best for a good testimonial, but man, his production team really kicked it into high gear. Tyler, what did you think about the post-production work on that?
Yeah, that was a nice little mix there, and I didn't done that, so to see it kind of for the first time and be able to kind of enjoy it as somebody who didn't even know that it was in the works was pretty cool, and I think it's cool that Sabri takes direct feedback. I've seen you on call. Him taking your updates that he kind of asks for from the team and then giving you live feedback as well. That's another really cool part of that experience is it's not just taking a course and there's nobody there giving you feedback or there's nobody to reach out to. So the fact that they kind of have this back and forth with their clients makes it more appealing, makes the course itself more appealing.
Yeah, definitely. It is great to be able to catch Savri's ear. I've timed it out. He's in Australia. I've timed it out when I can drop a question in the group, and he'll like get it right before his weekly review. So yeah, it's just great to get some direct feedback from him. I really like the part in the video where they were showcasing the calendar and they were able to blur things to like help kind of keep things private. But I don't know how he tracks so cool like through the calendar like that to just make it really eye catching. And then the Facebook feed too had a nice motion blur through it to kind of keep some privacy.
Yeah, that was clever. And like, I like the copy that's in it too. I find that when you use someone's words that have impact, it relates very well to the person that's speaking them. And when the person sees what's been done, and that's powerful.
Right. Yeah. Where he displayed the quote in text as I said it, really gave a lot of emphasis to it. So that was cool. That happened this week. I think Rich is going to be putting together one as well, but it's just cool to see Autonomy on Sabri Subri's YouTube page now. So that's really great. Next up, we got some cool news taking place. And this last week, we just upgraded our Discord server to reflect a larger project that's going on. I'll just show this. This is happening right now, but let's see. So we started a COVID server at the beginning of the year, right when the pandemic was happening, in order to have a place for us to discuss this worldwide topic that's taking place, and it grew into a really healthy, large community, over 200 people in there, and it's just great to have perspectives from around the world. As we know, this COVID thing is dragging out. I mean, I think I heard Bill Gates say it's going to take 10 years. F that. But there's a much larger agenda going on, and beyond just this virus that's floating around infecting people. Because there's like new lockdowns going on. Paris was just in gridlock from people trying to escape before this new lockdown. These are all effects from the response to COVID. So Richard has a project called Grand Theft World, and we just upgraded the server to reflect that. Grand Theft World is rolling out right now. You can go to grandtheftworld.com, and in that we have a growing website that is going to be a collection of news from around the world on a wide variety of topics. And now that COVID server has been upgraded to Grand Theft World to be able to have a larger frame of conversation going in there. And COVID is going to be definitely a part of that because it's being used to usher in a bunch of preset plans. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check out Richard Grove's interview about technocracy with, oh man, I'm drawing a blank.
Patrick
Patrick
Wood.
Wood.
Thank you, Patrick Wood. It's a very telling interview, and these things have been in the works for an extremely long time. With that said, we also have a weekly town hall by Mark Sawyer, who is still tried and true, man. I think every like Monday and Thursday, I might be wrong on that. He does a town hall where he collects the information that's been shared in that server, and then goes over some key things that we shouldn't be missing, and just has an open town hall conversation about that. So I'm just going to play a little clip from that so you can get a little taste.
To identify people that are in the actual now it's called Grand Theft World, which is the renaming of the server, because it's now dealing with everything. So let me just share this. Let me quickly share this guy. Okay. Okay. Sure. So what we have here is an opportunity to identify people that are in the group and kind of like see, how much they participate. Now, I haven't been following the updates, right? I haven't been following, what's being posted here, and all the business that's going on here, and that's great. Like that it's going on. Some of these topics are just like it's not just COVID; it's everywhere. So the catch is what we need to do if we want to be able to actually get people to come look at this presentation and invite their friends is really like identify at least 1 to 2 people in this thread that keeps on producing updates. Now I know Tim, he produces a lot of content. He's always kind of sharing stuff, so Tim's a good option. I don't know if he's going to be interested in working with us. And then you got Chris. They've already said a lot of the guys in Autonomy are really busy with their courses and their projects and their businesses. And you might ask, why do I promote Autonomy so much? And that the reason behind it is because it is really the solution to getting those golden cuffs cut off, right? Like the 9 to 5 slave debt.
From the affiliate link. Hell,
Hey, how you doing?
I'm just kidding.
What's that? What did you say?
It's a new fresh guy, right, Stefano? You said it's something about golden something.
Oh, because that's right. That's what Richard calls it, is the golden handcuffs. Basically, is your salary-based kind of income is golden handcuffs, right? You feel comfortable, but So Autonomy is a solution to break to break the chain. You can still have the bracelets on, have the gold, but get rid of the chain. And more as this develops, more and more of us are going to sit without work. That's just a fact, and we're going to have to move into autonomous, basically entrepreneurial positions. So that's where Autonomy helps us kind of like leverage that and get us in the right mindset and start our business. I mean, if you look at Autonomy, there's a ton of people that have started practicing doing courses and that kind of thing. So getting off the ground. So that's why I promote it, but it's not entirely why I'm doing this. The major reason here is because I want to build community, I want to build networks. So in order for us to get, I think people don't have time to go through all this, right? I don't have time to, let alone, I'm busy with like focusing at the moment on communications, alternative ways for internet connections, alternative ways for radio communication if the network goes down, that kind of thing. I don't have time to just randomly look at these kind of updates, but updates are important, right? This is better than the news if it's utilized and planned properly. And so what it really needs is someone, just that's all they need to do is go through or keep it in line with the updates and what is going on here in this one channel, and then come and give us a bit of an update. It could be 5 minutes of like, oh, this link said this and this. All they need to do is basically look at the link and get an idea of any value.
So he really hit a nail on the head there with the value of that feed, because if you've seen The Social Dilemma and know about how Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, they all have custom feeds that are feeding you what they think is the most attractive content to steal your attention. And what we have here in Autonomy and also into the Grand Theft World feed is the best content that we all contribute to think to that we should all be aware of. And so it's a organic and intentional feed of curated content that you can't get on social media. You end up in bubbles in social media because the algorithm's feeding you what it thinks you should know, which doesn't give you a lot of choice in that. So thanks, Mark Soar, for running that town hall. I hope to, I'm going to talk to you in the coming week, and we'll just rebrand that into the Grand Theft World Town Hall, and we can have this open space to be able to talk about these issues that are now like at our doorsteps. Anybody have anything to add to that before I move on?
Yeah. So that's a really good point. And so there's like what you said, over 200 people involved or members of that particular server. And so that's like 400 eyes. That's very valuable, right? And so, and also these are people who have been many of them training themselves to validate information. And so that's a high level communication, right? As you all are aware of. And his point about curating that, it needs a curator. That's useful.
And what's great about this is we're going to be combing that information, that customized, curated information, and grabbing the hot pieces and then embedding that into the website. So all our effort is being organized into a method to where you can go to the grandtheftworld.com and have this good curated location of all these content creators that are being deplatformed off of YouTube, and you'll be able to just go to one place to kind of catch all these different points of view.
What's the website name right now?
grandtheftworld.com.
Oh, okay.
That's the idea with the website as well, is to really kind of curate content that's more selectively curated though than Discord, a feed of just whatever people post on the website, but rather, people that are, like Rich has said, providing, source materials for their research. They're following up when they're maybe incorrect about something, and people with integrity. We're not 100% responsible for everything everybody says, but the idea would be that generally, they're, maintaining ways for you to follow up. You can go and follow their articles to see what they're talking about, where they're getting that information, find out ways to reach these content producers, rather than they're kind of getting scattered all over the place right now. So, this won't be the only aggregator site or the first aggregator site that's ever been created, but with the community in Discord, and then sort of filtering in an organic way people that want to contribute at a higher level. And there will be ways for them to sort of, as they step up, as Mark was saying there, all you got to do is go look who's active in here, who's kind of providing some good information, and then reach out to that person. There'll be a podcast on the horizon. There'll be a peanut gallery of sorts where people can, get a kind of like we're doing here, where there's a take. You don't have to come off camera. You don't have to necessarily contribute in the podcast, but you get a feel for how this kind of takes place today on these modern platforms of Zoom and having conference calls, where it used to be, a little bit less streamlined, but maybe more intimate, where we could get in person. But I think it's important to do what we can, where we can, when we can, with projects like this, to meet online if we have to. That's fine. Let's communicate out what's really happening behind the picture here, because it's it's not just a bat virus that's been leaked out from nature and a totally natural thing either. There's a lot more to the story with COVID, and there's a lot more to the story of America and where it's at now. And it's a it's Halloween. I'm happy to be celebrating Halloween with the children, but I also know that the country is on the verge of who the hell knows what in the next week or so, you know. And so buy your toilet paper while you're out there, guys. You know, getting them trick or treats. And maybe flour. You know, flour would be a good staple to buy too.
And you get to hear it first. We're going to be having a Grand Theft World podcast starting in the next couple weeks. First episode is going to be juicy. If you've caught the Alex Jones and Joe Rogan podcast, it's going to be one not to miss. Moving forward, we still got a lot to cover today.
Something that you mentioned about Europe, because for the Logic Study Group, on 10/29, Damien had said that due to emergency preparations, as far as I know, he's in France, due to emergency preparations for a damned second national lockdown, I postponed this week's International Hunto. So that makes sense now. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, another great benefit of being part of this community is eyes from around the world. So it helps you with your vantage point of what's going on, what we're all a part of.
As for Tyler's comment about toilet paper, Autonomy family, I would suggest instead you reach out to Danny Lilly and find out how you can set up your own aquaponics system, no matter how small or large. And if you want something to teach your children, he was describing to me in a recent call we had, I was his first. Woohoo! Danny Lilly, shout out to you. You're awesome. He's awesome. He was teaching students how to do it in like a 5-gallon jug, the concepts of aquaponics. So that guy is definitely a valuable resource.
Sweet. We hope to get some presentations in the community soon about that. Speaking of projects, this one, you get to see it first here. This is hot off the press. Tyler Lawyer just got done producing this, and it's going to be publicly announced here, I think, in the next week, but by Benny Wills. And just a quick shout out, Benny Wills and Sonia just had their baby. So they're spending time taking care of that little angel, and soon he's going to be announcing this.
Hi, I'm Benny Wills. Are you terrified of public speaking? Do you ever wish you could express yourself with more confidence and less fear? Would you like to be able to communicate better with friends and family about difficult subjects? And finally, do you have a masterpiece inside you? If you answered yes, or just thought yes to any of those questions, you probably need parrhesia. Parrhesia quite literally means free speech. It is the ability to communicate freely or boldly without self-doubt. In our currently hyper-polarized, extremely emotional, and ultra-opinionated world, communication is more important than ever. I spent the majority of my life learning how to communicate. Stage actor, then as an actor in Hollywood, now as a poet and MC, and as a YouTuber for the last 8 years, and as someone who is constantly looking for ways to build bridges towards people who have different opinions than me. So I've created an online course to share with people what I've learned. It's live, multi-week, community-based, and hands-on. Help me help you free your speech with Parrhesia, the art of communication.
Expertly done. Nice work, Tyler. If you want to know more about that project, go to bennywills.com and be part of the first to be able to join his new course coming out. Tyler, any fun highlights you wanted to describe with that project?
Just that, there's some behind the scenes story there that wasn't the first take on that video. And Benny, with his keen eye and expertise, was able to help me kind of work through the first attempt and then guide me through the second as far as more what he wanted to visualize on that. And I really appreciate that kind of feedback, and people that have that kind of discernment as far as what they want their work to look like, and not coming down on anyone in a hard way or getting upset, but just saying, look, this is not working out the way I wanted to. I'd rather have it look like this. And that kind of, like I said, that kind of feedback from me, from someone like Benny, is really appreciated, because I'm always just a learner. I'm always just a student here, and especially with this stuff like that, I've not been doing that for years and years, that kind of work. So any feedback that people have, or another exciting thing that kind of might reached out to his video editor friend, and what's the I'm drawing a blank on their old project that they used to work on, even though it should be right in the front of my
Joy
mind.
Camp? Tony?
Joy Camp.
Joy Camp?
Yeah, Tony might reach out and sync up on some of the tricks he's been doing recently in video editing, because we've watched some of the work he's done and been like, wow, how does he do that? Same with what, from the Sabri Subri's video editing team, whoever that is, anybody that we could meet with and sync up and share tips, that would be awesome.
Oh, that's a good idea. I will inquire about that. Yeah, go to check out Joycamp's latest video, Out of the Cove. No, Allegory of the Cove. Check that out. It does have really good production value in it. All right, I'm going to keep this train moving. We got some cool new news. It's in the pipeline. Things are happening. I'm just going to let these visuals start the tale. Autonomy Limited is getting rebranded as we speak. We now have some work to do in front of us, but by the start of the year, we're going to have a fresh website and a bunch of new public pages that we'll be able to showcase everybody. And yeah, there's a lot in the works. So as well as within the University of Reason, we now have Autonomy Unlimited Higher Education. This is where you can go to learn new skills, apply new skills, sharpen new skills, and be able to do so with your peers and as graduates. So keep an eye out for that. As you just saw, there's also a new project in the works. One Room Schoolhouse, a tradition of excellence. This has been very much needed for like 100 years. But Adam James, Lee's going to be a big supporter on this. Lee, you want to describe a little bit of how this is all coming together?
Yeah, there's been some really good information exchange. And I would like to just really thank Adam James for creating that place for this discussion to begin. And that's what he's done. And then the timing coincided with, I believe, the beginning of season 4. And then I really wanted to encourage, and we were able to have as basically a guest speaker, Barbie Rivera, someone who has extensive experience in this exact situation. So we can think of her as someone who is eminently prepared for what is actually occurring right now. And so what she went through 20 years ago, because she's talking about students who are now 20, had a story that if you were able to check out that video where she talks about a child born with actual physical brain disabilities, but went on to graduate, went on to be an example for every other student that will ever go through Barbie's office to say, and she will point at the picture at the wall and say, he did it with brain damage. Why can't you?
Remove those excuses, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be a location for a bunch of separate projects to be able to come together and help the next generation. We have guest speakers in the works. We have some projects with Barbie that not ready to announce yet, but they're solidifying right now. That's going to be able to help out everybody. Just create a pathway forward to educating the next generation. I mean, I think everybody, even if you don't have kids, know how important that is.
like another part of that could be like consider the planet-wide perspective. Okay, I'm wearing like a uniform for a company that is maybe hiring me. They just sent me a contract. Okay, and their content, I would say, is the best I've seen phonics wise in the Taiwanese market. And Taiwan is intimately connected to China wider market. So that is a big market, like a huge, like you can, I can't even encompass that in my mind, how large that market that is. But anyway, for them to maybe perhaps be connected with Barbie's content in the United States, when there's a lot of focus in Taiwan upon the United States, as opposed to their neighbor, China, right? That's a big opportunity there.
Cool. Well, congrats, man. I hope that pans out and is something that helps you, moves you towards your goals, right? If it's just a stepping stone, then it's worth it. All right, next up, we have the Renaissance Revolution. And just going to warn you right now, if you're in a room with kids, you might want to mute it, put on headphones, because we're going into the artistic side of autonomy, and I don't know what they're about to say. This was from this last week's open mic night. Oh, come on.
Just in, to continue that recommendation. And then I don't know if Tony here tonight, he said he wanted to share, but that I don't see, maybe he'll come later on. But then I'll just open up the floor to kind of like a free format. And then after that, we can have like, before we close it out, we could have like a time to just channel some energy. But this one is called Mindfuck by yours truly. Let me just get it set up. Okay.
Parental advisory. See how this goes.
Take two. Why do I gotta be so fucking controversial? I guess it's my job, right? I wanna fuck each and every one of your minds. A straight up mind fuck. Mindgasm. I wanna me too your mind with no consent. I'm trying to captivate your cerebellum. Squirt my thoughts in your pineal gland. Pick apart your medulla. I wanna court your mind, support every fine neuron. Dance with your brainwaves. I'm looking to hypnotize your cortex. Mind sex. My positions of Kama Sutra.
You can find that on Khalid Seam's YouTube page called Mindfuck by Khalid Seam. Lee, you were there for that?
Yeah, I was. It was amazing. It was amazing. I saw his very short Loom video where he outlaid how he wanted it set up so that if people wanted to request certain content to be raffled off, in other words, voted on or chosen, or they also wanted to specifically have a time within to showcase their work, whatever it was, whatever medium they do. Because it was Leah Boone was in there, and she showed her drawing, I think she did it some time ago, and her poetry that went along with it. And then she described being a young child. And then she mentioned that just before she had to, like an overload, she was spending time away from and getting her workload and getting back into producing art. And so it was really great. And she said something else that really struck all of us who were there. And she said, with all her experience in the freedom movement, liberty, true freedom, this is the first time within Autonomy Season 4 that she's felt truly at home. I thought that was the greatest thing that someone could say.
Wow.
To feel at home and
yeah, I mean that invites vulnerability, which allows creativity to flow. So I mean that's speaking volumes right there. That's really great to hear. All right, I didn't know.
Where can you find some replays of this podcast?
Should be in the, I think.
Newsletter. Shout out to copyright team's work. Newsletter has links to it.
Nice.
Make sure if we can get it. Even if YouTube restricts it because it's got Netflix content, it's still there.
There you go.
Tyler, we have a library meeting in 15 minutes or in like 1 hour?
Say that again, you're
Yeah.
talking.
And Leah, when she's addressing her team, is like so professional and so focused, like laser. And then to see her as an artist, that was cool to see.
Tyler, I sent you a message. That's all. That's all I was saying. Okay.
Cool. Well, it can be a segue. We're also helping, the What on Earth is Happening team, Mark and his technical staff over there, getting the content that they're working on repopulated up to library. That's what Ludwig was just bringing up. He's going to help out with that project because, as we could see with people like Derek Bros recently, it's only a matter of time before, your YouTube channel's next. And Mark's probably got some content out there that, if some fact checker comes along, they may not exactly agree or that might get flagged. And so the faster we can get that populated, then, when people go to the website, they're not dealing with broken links and things like that. And I think that helps with Leah and what her comment was there, because they're getting support from people with integrity who can show up, do what they say when they said they were going to do it, show up to meetings on time, really operate with a culture of excellence. And I think that's what's brought that feedback and kind of knocking their socks off from what they're used to, which I'm not, down talking anybody else, but things come up. If you don't have that infrastructure to where I can say, hey, Ludwig, I'm overwhelmed. I said I would accomplish these tasks for one of our clients. I need some help. And I can pull somebody else in. They can pick up the slack. And we remain in integrity, to the people that we're working with. So big thumbs up to everybody who steps in and helps out around here.
Yes. So one question, do we have a meeting in 15 minutes or 1 hour and 15 minutes? But yeah, my calendar says one thing and I thought I understood something else. So do you have an info?
What are you, in Poland or something? No, I'm just kidding. It's it's 15 minutes from now, man.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, what Tyler touched upon is we have the pleasure to be applying our skills and services to influencers that definitely have influenced me. And Tyler mentioned Derek Bros. We put together his new course, Holistic Self-Assessment, and this is going to be available publicly soon through the Conscious Resistance. And we just brokered a deal to help Derek with post-production, which was a pain point of his. He spends all his day uploading this content that he's producing. And so we hooked him up with Content Safe. You can go to contentsafe.co if you have this problem too. But they're going to be now taking that off of his plate. So Derek just uploads it to one place, and then Content Safe is able to distribute that to all the alternative channels. Because if you didn't notice, Conscious Resistance got deleted off of YouTube this last week, like 2,000 videos, like probably 10 years of work just gone. And we really got to support these content creators that have been helping spread the word of freedom and truth and very important concepts that are now being censored online.
Well, yeah, the name of what his website, right? Conscious Resistance, right? And that was done, right? People who have technology, business plans and stuff like that complements the quality of this information.
Right. One more student project from this last week that I wanted to highlight. This is Lisa Manfredi discussing insurance types. And just to give a little preference or backstory, because of Lisa, I got to learn of the importance of insurance, and life insurance was very low on my list of what was priority for me. And I just turned 40, life insurance was like something I knew about, but I didn't even know about. And I was in no hurry to get it for myself. But the way that Lisa presented it to me really changed the way that I viewed it, because it's now I see a tool to be able to secure funds for the future, not just for when I die and I'm able to pass on some money to my loved ones, which it does accomplish, but as a way to become your own bank. When it's described in that way, it really got my attention, and I worked with Lisa. She got me and my family set up with life insurance, and we're now paying into it. And in a short amount of time, I'm going to be able to draw upon the money that I've invested into that insurance plan, and create loans to myself from myself that requires no one's permission. If you can understand that and you want that for yourself, this is what Lisa's been teaching us here in Autonomy. I'll just share a quick little clip
about different insurance types. And the reason I wanted to do that was that a lot of people have policies, but they don't know what they have, or they think they have something that isn't quite what they have. And so essentially, this is just a reminder to read your contracts, because there are some general rules of how some of these products work, but contracts will tell you exactly how yours work. And they might be incredibly confusing. So, figured we'd talk a little bit about life insurance in general. Essentially, you are pushing some responsibility onto the insurance company. At least that's the idea that I have. So you have this contract between the insurer and the policyholder, where the insurer guarantees payment of a death benefit to some named beneficiary when the insured dies. They promise this death benefit in exchange for premiums that are paid by the policyholder. Generally, it's a private contract, it's legally binding, and it requires accurate disclosure of the insured's past and current health conditions, age, risk activities, gender, etc. And then the actuaries go behind the scenes and they create these illustrations. The illustrations show you how this is going to play out for you in the future.
That's just a tip of an iceberg. Lisa has been at this for 11 weeks now. She's put together just a storehouse of information. She's able to simplify it into a way that you can understand, and then learn more about that, and see which pathway would be a good fit for you, your family, your business. And I'm just really grateful that she introduced this concept to me. My family is giving me and my wife just a feeling of stability, and just knowing, if if something was to happen to me, my family's like taken care of. That's a real deep like survival need that's being taken care of. And then on top of that, be your own banker, which that really made it something that caught my ear to be able to find out how to implement this for myself. Anybody else have anything to share about this? Cool.
Yeah, if you're renting and you do not control the source of water, the water shut off, you have no access. If you own a well, and in this case, you own access to capital, that belongs to you. You can be cut off from the access to credit to fund your emergency or whatever you need. And so something that could be in the future on death now services your life now.
Right. I've always struggled with finances my whole life. I didn't grow up with much money, and I've had to, in the last several years, take on the responsibility of learning how to manage finances. And so this really came at an opportune time for me to actually put it to use. And thanks, Lisa, for helping me out with that. Anybody want to point out any other aspects of this last week that we didn't cover in clips that really hit home for you before we move into highlighting last night's lecture? Any cool secret meetings that you want to disclose? How's everybody's integration exercise going with interviewing? Anybody have an argument that they're putting together that that's in the works? I'd love to hear about that.
I have a question, Joshua.
Yo.
Last week I had a question. This week I have a challenge, and this is the question I came up with. Does anybody know? I think we only have one right. Does anybody know what that one right is? As freedom-loving people, only have one right.
The right to live?
No, that's given. The right to self-defense. And I think that's where we're falling short. We're not. It's almost like nobody realizes that's the only right we have to defend ourselves. And discussion should be framed around self-defense or defending yourself instead of trying to defend. Every other rights are given, are assumed. I don't think you have any, but the only right you have is to defend yourself, unless you are suicidal. It's just a question I'm throwing out and say, if that's the only right I think we have.
I guess that's a framework that would have to be broken down a little bit more. I mean, because I guess I'll just take the opposite stance and say I think that you cannot positively define rights. They're better defined in the negative of what you cannot do, rather because if there's the way I'd extrapolate that through how I see a right would be that you can perform actions that don't harm other human beings or other things in general, other beings in general. So, unless it's in a matter of pure survival or you're being aggressed upon, but otherwise, like the right to walk across the street, that's correct. That's true. It's not something that's wrong. It's not a wrongdoing for me to take a sip of coffee. So there's an infinite amount of rights. So you can't really define that in the positive, but in the negative of what you cannot do, I think is more, that way you can actually define things that are actually wrong, and then that would be not your right.
You don't have the right to attack without provocation.
How about these two pillars? The first pillar, the first principle is not the non-aggression principle, and the second principle is the self-defense principle. You apply those two and you live a truly proper life. You won't aggress on people and you won't be aggressed upon. Or if you'll be aggressed upon, then you will only be aggressed upon once.
Nice.
That's what.
Go ahead, Glacier. Oh, well, I appreciate the question.
I'm saying it's almost like I'm thinking, yeah, go ahead, go along. This is a deep discussion. This is words.
Yeah,
so you go ahead.
Thanks. I'm going to chew on it. I'm going to examine it throughout the week, and maybe I'll get back to you with my point of view on that. But love the question. Got me thinking. All right. Well, for myself, I'm putting together some information on censorship and censorship's influence on the media and the influence on my loved ones outside of myself. So I'm putting together like a strong argument of pointing at censorship and its effect on each other's lives and the need to stand up against it. I think that's where my argument's going. Okay. Last night we had a marathon of a lecture. I think it went 7.5 hours, and my Bluetooth finally died, and I finally I passed out in bed. I didn't even get to hear the end of the Q&A. Tyler, how late did you stay up?
It was an 8-hour lecture, and that's with me chopping the front end off the first 20 minutes of intro. So I think maybe it could be a record. I think there's been longer. Perhaps we'll have to go check that. It could be a record last night. I know Rich kind of after the mid-lecture break was like, how many slides are left and what time is it right now? But he still took the time to go through and explain the last bit of the digital assets and more of like what does it look like if the first half of the lecture where we're talking about having a job or getting a raise or being in the position that you want to be in, to the second half of like, well, if that's not for you and you'd rather kind of do it in a more freelancey, more entrepreneurial, be your own boss type of way, well, what are those options? And we started to peel back the veil a little bit. What are those options? What's back there? What can we do? And then Rich dropped a couple bombs that I think Ludwig was talking about before, that I was like getting all giddy and excited again for the people hearing that kind of information for the first time, because there is a lot that they go through up to that point. And I think they do start to feel a little bit, well, how does this work for me? What is it going to look like for me? How do I make this work? And it's like, well, I'm going to take away all your excuses and give you a really nice big fat present right here. But then you can still ask those questions about how does it look for you and what do you want to do? And specifically, maybe you're going to go do your own thing. But if not, here's this like, Halloween present, I guess we're going to call it this year, because we went into the morning hours of Halloween last night.
Totally agreed. And yeah, it was a marathon, and I too it got me thinking as well. And it really is just a nice like training wheels of, okay, you've seen a menu of a lot of different choices. Here's something easy that you can start testing things out with. And just like Rich said with like Amazon affiliates, I signed up for Amazon affiliates. And I think I've made probably like 87 cents in like 3 years. So it was a good process to go through, but have a good meeting, guys. But I got a quick clip that Tyler grabbed last night that I'm going to showcase. Ludwig, thanks for showing up. See you around. And then we'll go into some meaty slides from last night.
You are limited only by your confidence, which is limited only by your competence. So what does that tell us? It's like everybody's limited by their confidence. We all know that. We're like, no shit. But why is our confidence limited? It's because we lack competence in that subject area where we lack confidence. So by scheduling your success, by showing up, by practicing, by putting the time in, you do and will, like you will, and it's like totally possible, and you will do it through the rest of this course, develop proficiency. Proficiency leads to competence in that activity. And guess what? That's where real self-confidence comes from. It's not something you could buy at a store. It's something you have to earn through your own intentional actions toward a goal and seeing it play out past the learning curve until you can get a reward, until you receive satisfaction. It's that persistence despite resistance. So knowing that you're only limited by your confidence, and that is only limited by your competence, and that you guys are in an arena, a place with nerfed up dojos where you can practice these skills to whatever your heart's content, but let it be at a point beyond where it's like, I'm not afraid to go out and say these things in public. I'm not afraid to ask a question, find an answer, make a plan, make an offer, get rejected, and try again. Because I know in my heart, through my experience in life, that done over a series of failed attempts will lead to a success if you learn from those steps in between. I've done it in any number of activities during my life, so I should have full confidence and competence knowing I can apply those skills going forward. And so should you. So should anybody that you're interacting with on a daily basis. So there is a real gift to be given, but it's a gift that you give to yourself through the focused action, and that we, providing the course here, like we're just facilitating the arena. We're maintaining the dojo. We're like cleaning the snack stand and stuff like that. We're sweeping the floors so that you can get through and do the things you need to do safely within the arena, to be able to practice the skills and internalize them and make them your own, not by repeating what you're hearing, but by understanding what is being portrayed so that you can internalize it in your own way on your own hero's journey.
Very well said. Yeah, this is the arena of Nerf. We get to whack each other and cause no real damage, but taking these punches inside of here, when we go out into the real world, like your mind, your body, you have some training to know what to do, right? I used to be afraid to answer my cell phone when somebody called, because I was afraid of talking to strangers. I didn't know what they wanted. Were they wanting money? Were they like, I just had a fear of answering my phone. I would always let it go to voicemail and then like call them back if it was absolutely necessary, or they made it through my screening process and it was a friend. I always answer my phone now, and I'm pretty quick at figuring out if they're a robocall or not quite quickly. But being a business owner, and I get a lot of those, but I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. If I get a sales guy calling me, like, oh, game on. Like, it's fun. We might end up talking for 20 minutes and I don't even want their product, but it's just nice to have some skills developed to be able to take life head on. Lee, what do you think?
You know, I just want to know, how long ago was that for you? That's really interesting thing. I would never have guessed, because and like, okay, I would just like to say to you again, when I was on the outside, I would watch these podcasts. This is really, I'm so happy that that this is a really cool thing. I just realized again, because I just want to say to you, when I started watching those, you're much better now. You are much better now, and these are going really, really well, and you're just going to keep going with that. So back to you, that cool anecdote for your life. How long ago was that cell phone thing?
10 years ago.
Wow, come a long way, haven't you, brother?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, not afraid of my phone ringing anymore, which seems absurd now, but
it's like opportunity's on the line, Joshua Hale, and you're like, hello, yes, hello, opportunity. How's it going? Yeah, I'm down.
Exactly. Or yeah, the ability to say no, and like with certainty, and not just, oh, I'm unsure, I don't think I want to try this because it's new, but to be able to discern yes or no. Is this going to be something that I'm going to pursue, or quickly identify that this is not worth my time, because my time is.
Well, yeah, because you are a filter. You're not a gatekeeper. You're a like quality filter. It's like, does this agree with my ethics? Yes or no? Right?
Exactly.
Does this agree with the plans for the community that I am participating in and really trying to encourage and support through my efforts? You work hard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really what it was. Like, I'm nobody's prey anymore, and that's what I felt like before when the phone would ring and I didn't know who it was that was trying to get my attention. But yeah, just like you said, I now have principles. I know what they are, and I can make split-second decisions based off of that. I got 2 slides to cover that were showcased in last night's marathon. 8 hours of slides. Can you imagine that? If you're on the outside looking in, this is just a fraction of the value that's inside of this course. I could try to summarize this, but Rich, would you like to just give us a quick synopsis of what this in the next slide is? Because it's very applicable to the current situation.
Yeah, the idea is you've got multiple parts to your brain. You should learn what parts you have in your brain and what those parts specialize in. And then once you learn that, you could notice that schooling and mainstream media continually is at a race to the bottom of your brainstem, and it's not triggering, creative, conceptual, critical thinking. It's putting you into fight or flight, fear, subjugation, submission, learned helplessness, a whole bunch can be avoided, but you can't avoid it till you understand the dynamics and identify when it's going on within the confines of your mind. So this slide is like, this is what's going on, and this is not a great story because people were being subjugated, controlled, made into slaves. But on the other side, once you see this dynamic, you could say, well, let's go the opposite direction. Let's get to the prefrontal cortex. Let's get to the newer part of the brain where we conceptualize ideas and do our critical thinking. And comparing and contrasting those two is the only way to liberate people who are formerly held slave in the first slide, which was the red title slide, the race to the bottom. So you're a slave until you find out about, oh, I can reverse this direction. I can reverse these dynamics. I don't have to capitulate just because they want me to. And you can learn how to use your brain in the way that would liberate you. That was the green title slide.
And to use my fear of answering the phone is a perfect example, right? Like I was fearful. I didn't know who it was calling. Was it a credit like debt collector, or was it, ex-girlfriend? And then addiction was a part of my life. I mean, I created that that was a habit of mine, that like I didn't just experience that once, that I was afraid to answer the phone. That was what my life had grown into. Confusion was because I didn't know who was on the other line, and I wasn't even self-aware enough to realize all these skills I was lacking that was putting me into this situation before. I didn't even know I had a problem that needed, well, I was aware of that it was a problem, but I didn't know what to do about it. I had no steps to take. Complacency and submission. I was letting other people put me into that fear state. And so to the top of the brainstem, these are things that I have, skills that I've cultivated and grown into, being able to observe what is that, where is that area code calling me from? Like I can start making observations about who's calling me now. Robocallers have a way to be able to find your zip code that you are in and be able to call from those zip codes even now too. So I'm quite suspicious of that, but I still answer my phone. Identification, organization, verification, communication. These are all skills that I've now cultivated and to be able to apply. And I'm not afraid of any conversation that I could get myself into now. I've had just this last week some like challenging community conversations that I like didn't let fear stop me from having them, but walked in there knowing that I would be able to, while in the arena, utilize what was around me, and adapt to the situation to be able to just see my way through it as in real time, which that gives me confidence. I now, I don't hesitate, which hesitation can cause an outcome, right? When you don't take advantage of acting in real time. So all these cascading problems I've now been able to get off of my plate, just cultivating skills and being able to act on my feet.
I really like that slide. Those are good choices you made, Richard, about those slides. And I caught that before I jumped off to have a call with former Autonomy season 2, maybe, Michael Pendergrast, because he's like so interesting, that guy. But I also want to say, Richard, I've been mining, well, before I was accepted in Autonomy, I was mining your last couple of weeks or maybe last month of videos. I think of it as like a pitch letter, or that pitch email that I sent back to Joshua. But these lectures here, as I move through Autonomy, I'm mining it and taking it on as training to prepare what I'm going to share with my local classroom of like young minds, hey? Because that generalization, and I like that there's 5 points there. 5, the number of love. And I'm thinking, how does that relate to love, observation, and those points? I thought, it's good stuff. You really, you're just so helpful to humanity.
I think it really comes down to the fact that you have to respect yourself and love yourself enough to get past the fear and start learning. And that's where you generate self-respect and self-responsibility and freedom.
That sounds like truth to me.
Yep, I can attest. I had to go through that process myself, because even being a natural helper, like I can't help anybody without helping myself first. All right. Well, we've reached the end of this week's podcast. Thank you, everybody, for participating. This has been an explosive week, right? Things are really starting to happen. We're almost halfway through this season's curriculum, and these concepts are now starting to be circulating in people's heads. And showing up in the community. So I really look forward to seeing everyone's integration exercises this week, and the juicy arguments that we're going to be presenting to each other, because we're in it. There's no shortage of hot topics to talk about. Let's just say that. I'm looking forward to just making it through this week, and everybody just be real patient with each other and kind. And there's some major shifts taking place globally that we all just need to see our way through. And I think we can focus on just developing community on the other side of this. And I look forward to doing that with my Autonomy family.
Dawn, are you able to come off mic? Are you at work or something? Are you there, Dawn?
Yeah, I'm just here holding my baby.
That's what I want to point out, that no matter what is going on in the world, children are coming into this world. And Dawn, his family is welcoming. I looked at her picture. I'm like, welcome to planet Earth, Kira. Dawn, can you say something about it while you're holding your child?
Sure. I mean, there's always hope. The same processes are going on. I was explaining to someone earlier today. They were saying, what's life like over here in New Jersey? And because it's like one of these epicenters of the supposed coronavirus type deal. And what I was saying, the land itself is fantastic. All the normal processes are going on. It's like, here comes the sun. There's little plants happening over here, some nice little ocean. And, the place is cool. The government's kind of sucky, but, the place is nice. It's got a bunch of human beings walking around, like doing their thing. It's not bad. Same thing's happening around the world. It's like all the things are going on. It's just the humans that are kind of messed up. And even that's only a little piece of them, And it's like, we just wipe that off and the rest of it's fine. A little corner of the blackboard's got a lot of marks on it, but we'll just clean it up.
Great to hear from you, Don. Right. Keep control of the perception of your reality, right? Don't let other people tell you what reality is when you have five senses and a critical mind and are able to look outside and focus on what's important to you and your family. Really glad you made it.
Congratulations, Don.
Yeah, really glad you made it back home safely, and you got a new one to take care of.
Yeah, she's she was a premature baby, but she's doing great, and there's been no issues so far whatsoever.
Woohoo!
It's an amazing thing. You're in the club, right? You're in the same club as Joshua, as Richard.
Benny.
Gleiser is like a grandfather, I think, right? I'm definitely in the club with my two children and stuff. And I used to pay attention to things like that Zeitgeist, the film, and the overpopulation narrative, and that just like the darkness of that. When the child is born, all that darkness stuff just fall away. And you realize, right, that you are part of the dance of life, like every other living creature. Animals have families too. Why can't we? We need them.
Beautiful wrap up. Again, thank you all for showing up. If you're watching this on BitChute, YouTube, library, thanks to Content Safe again for distributing all this content out there. But make sure to smash the like button, subscribe it, share with your friends. If you're interested in autonomy, go to getautonomy getautonomy.info/ignite, and you can check out what this course has to offer, or go to getautonomy.info/19 skills and grab our handy dandy PDF on the cultivating skills that you'll learn inside of this course. See you guys next week. And for everybody in autonomy, I'll catch you guys tomorrow in Q&A.